Chapter 8, The Weight of Waiting. 2 days. Isaiah sat at the colonel's desk in the pre-dawn darkness. The account book opened before him, though he could barely see the columns of figures in the dim lamplight. His hand trembled slightly as he dipped the pen in ink, a tremor he couldn't quite control. 2 more days of this pretense. 2 more days of careful smiles and bowed head, and yes, sir, and no, sir. While his mind raced through every detail of the plan, searching for the flaw that would kill them all. 8 people now. 8 souls balanced on the edge of a knife. The door opened behind him, and Isaiah's hands steadied instantly, muscle memory taking over where will had faltered. He didn't turn, didn't show surprise, just continued entering the previous day's expenses in his careful script. Early start, Isaiah? Colonel Bellmont's voice carried satisfaction rather than suspicion. Good. I need those inventory lists completed before we depart tomorrow. Tomorrow. The word hung in the air like smoke. Yes, sir, I'll have them ready by noon. Isaiah kept his eyes on the ledger, on the neat columns that represented human lives reduced to dollars and cents. Moses, $1,600. Hannah, $1,200. Samuel, $1,000. Each one a price, a value, a thing to be counted and controlled. Mrs. Bellmont and I will be reviewing the household arrangements this morning. The colonel moved to the window, looking out at the lightening sky. Crow will have full authority in our absence, but I want you to continue your duties here. Keep the records current. When we return in the spring, I expect everything to be in order. Yes, sir. Spring. As if Isaiah would still be here in spring, still bent over this desk, still pretending. The colonel turned, and Isaiah felt the weight of his gaze. You've done well, Isaiah. Better than I expected. It's a rare thing, finding someone who can be trusted with responsibility. The words should have felt like praise. Instead, they felt like chains tightening. Trust was a weapon, and the colonel wielded it expertly. Thank you, sir. Your mother taught you well before she passed. The colonel's tone shifted, became almost conversational. A woman who could read and write, that was unusual, even in Virginia. Where did she learn? The question was casual, but Isaiah heard the trap beneath it. Every answer he gave created more threads that could unravel, more lies that had to be remembered and maintained. Her mistress taught her, sir, before she was sold south. The story was partly true, which made it easier to tell. His mother had been taught by a mistress, though Isaiah suspected there had been more to that story than she'd ever shared with a child. She said reading was a gift, and she wanted to pass it on. A dangerous gift. The colonel's voice hardened slightly. Knowledge can make a man or woman dissatisfied with their station. Yes, sir. Isaiah kept his expression neutral, his voice carefully empty, but she said it was also a way to serve better, to be more useful. The colonel seemed satisfied with this answer. Indeed. Well, finish those lists. I'll be back after breakfast. When the door closed, Isaiah let out a breath he hadn't known he was holding. His hand shook again as he set down the pen. 2 more days of this. 2 more days of walking the razor's edge between suspicion and trust, between the role of faithful servant and the reality of desperate fugitive. The inventory lists mocked him from their neat stacks. Every item counted, every tool and horse and wagon accounted for. The colonel's world was one of order and control, where everything had its place and stayed there. But in 2 days, that order would shatter. 8 people would vanish into the night, and all the careful accounting in the world wouldn't bring them back. Isaiah worked through the morning, his pen scratching across paper in the rhythm of lies. 3 horses in the stable. 4 wagons in the barn. 27 hoes in the tool shed. Numbers and objects, all present and correct, while his mind counted down different numbers. 48 hours. 2,880 minutes. Each one bringing them closer to freedom or death. At midday, Abigail brought his dinner. Cornbread and beans, the same meal everyone ate in the quarters. She set the plate on the edge of the desk without meeting his eyes, but her hand brushed against his for just a moment, and he felt the tremor in her fingers. Ruth has a cold, she said quietly, her voice pitched low enough that only Isaiah could hear. Nothing serious, but she's been coughing. Isaiah's stomach clenched. A coughing child on the run, when silence could mean the difference between life and death. Mercy has something for that, he said, equally quiet. A tea that soothes the throat. Already gave it to her this morning. Abigail's hands were steady as she wiped the desk with a cloth, but Isaiah saw the fear in her eyes. She'll be quiet when she needs to be. I'll make sure of it. The unspoken threat hung between them. Mercy's special tea, the one that would make Ruth sleep so deeply she wouldn't wake even if carried. A mother's terrible choice to drug her own child into unconsciousness for the sake of survival. 2 more days, Isaiah said, the words barely a whisper. 2 more days. Abigail echoed, and then she was gone, leaving him alone with his plate and his lists and the weight of 8 lives pressing down on his shoulders. The afternoon dragged like honey in winter. Isaiah completed the inventory lists, checked them twice, then copied them into the permanent record book in his careful script. Each task was a small death, a piece of the performance that kept him alive while killing something essential inside. He was good at this work, efficient and precise, and that goodness was its own kind of prison. Through the window, he could see the plantation moving through its daily rhythms. Field hands bent over the last of the cotton, their movements synchronized by years of practice. Moses worked at the forge, the ring of his hammer carrying across the yard. Hannah crossed from the house to the kitchen, her arms full of linens, Mrs. Bellmont's sharp voice following her like a whip. Isaiah forced himself to look away, to focus on the numbers in front of him. Every glance toward Hannah was a risk, every moment of attention a potential betrayal. Crow was watching. Crow was always watching. And Mrs. Bellmont's suspicions had only grown sharper in recent days. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and red, Isaiah heard voices in the hallway. Mrs. Bellmont and the Colonel, their footsteps approaching the study. He straightened his papers quickly, composing his face into the mask of dutiful servitude. "Simply don't trust her," Mrs. Bellmont was saying as they entered. "There's something in her manner, Thaddeus, something secretive. Hannah has served you faithfully for years, my dear." The Colonel sounded tired, as if they'd had this conversation many times before. "You're seeing shadows where there are none." "Am I?" Mrs. Bellmont's voice was sharp. "After what happened with Thomas? After all the trouble we've had?" Isaiah kept his head down, his pen moving steadily across the page as if he couldn't hear them, as if their words didn't concern him. But his heart hammered against his ribs, and the pen trembled in his grip. "Thomas was a fool who ran on impulse," the Colonel said. "There's no indication anyone else is planning such foolishness. Crow has things well in hand. I still think we should delay our departure." Mrs. Bellmont moved to the window, her silk dress rustling. "Another week or 2, just to be certain." "Absolutely not." The Colonel's tone brooked no argument. "We've already delayed once because of the harvest. The Hendersons are expecting us on the 30th, and I won't insult them by changing plans again." Isaiah's hands steadied. The 30th. Tomorrow they would leave, and the day after the escape would begin. The timeline held. The plan remained intact. "Besides," the Colonel continued, "Isaiah here will continue his work in our absence. Won't you, Isaiah?" "Yes, sir." Isaiah looked up, meeting the Colonel's eyes with what he hoped was the proper mixture of gratitude and loyalty. "I'll keep everything in order, sir. You can trust me." The irony of those words, "you can trust me," burned in his throat like acid. But the Colonel nodded, satisfied, and Mrs. Bellmont's expression remained troubled but resigned. "See that you do," she said, her voice cold. "Crow will be watching. He'll know if anything is amiss." "Yes, ma'am." Isaiah bowed his head, the picture of obedience. When they left, he sat motionless for a long moment, listening to their footsteps fade down the hallway. Then he carefully gathered his papers, locked the account books in the Colonel's desk, and extinguished the lamp. The study fell into darkness, and Isaiah stood in it, breathing slowly, trying to calm the racing of his heart. One more day of this performance, and then everything would change. He left through the back door, avoiding the main house, and made his way to his small room behind the kitchen. The quarters were quiet, most people already asleep after another day of brutal labor. But Isaiah saw a shadow detach itself from the wall near the well, and his hand went to the knife at his belt before he recognized Moses's massive form. "Brother," Moses said quietly, falling into step beside him. "We need to talk." They walked in silence to the edge of the tobacco field, where the darkness was complete and the night sounds covered their voices. Moses's face was grave in the moonlight. "Samuel's at the breaking point," Moses said without preamble. "I found him at the forge this afternoon, and he was talking wild, saying he might run tonight, that he can't wait another day." "Where is he now?" "Elijah's with him, talking him down." Moses's voice was heavy with worry. "I don't know if he'll hold. The boy's got too much rage in him, and not enough patience." Isaiah closed his eyes, feeling the weight of another problem, another variable that could destroy them all. "I'll talk to him. Tonight? Has to be. We can't risk him running early." Isaiah opened his eyes, looking up at the stars. The North Star shone clear and bright, pointing the way to freedom. One more day until they could follow it. "Where are they?" "Old tobacco barn, the one with the broken door." Isaiah nodded. "Tell Elijah to keep him there. I'll come after midnight, when the patrols have passed." Moses gripped his shoulder, the gesture brief but full of meaning. "We're close now, brother. So close I can almost taste it." "Close," Isaiah agreed. "But close is when things fall apart. We have to hold together just a little longer." They separated, Moses heading toward the forge and Isaiah toward his room. But Isaiah didn't sleep. He lay on his narrow cot, fully dressed, counting the hours until midnight. Around him, the plantation settled into its nighttime rhythms. The distant bark of dogs, the call of night birds, the rustle of small animals in the darkness. At midnight, he rose and slipped out into the night. The tobacco barn loomed dark against the sky, its broken door hanging at an angle. Isaiah approached carefully, watching for patrols, but Crow's men had already passed on their rounds. Inside, the barn smelled of old leaf and dust. A single candle burned in the far corner, where Samuel sat with his back against the wall, Elijah beside him. Samuel looked up as Isaiah entered, and even in the dim light, Isaiah could see the wildness in the boy's eyes. "I can't do it," Samuel said, his voice rough. "I can't wait another day. I keep seeing Thomas, keep hearing him scream, and I think, what if that's me? What if I wait, and then it's too late?" "It won't be too late." Isaiah sat down across from them, keeping his voice calm. "Tomorrow they leave. The day after we run. That's the plan. Plans fail." Samuel's hands clenched into fists. "Thomas had a plan. Look where it got him. Thomas ran alone, on impulse, with no preparation and no help." Isaiah leaned forward. "We've been planning for 2 years. We have supplies, routes, safe houses. We have each other. We have 8 people now," Samuel shot back. 8 people, including a 4-year-old child and an old woman who can barely walk. "How far do you think we'll get?" The question hung in the air, heavy with all the doubts Isaiah had been fighting since Clara forced her way into their plans. But he couldn't let Samuel see those doubts, couldn't let the fear spread. "We'll get as far as we need to," Isaiah said firmly. "Every one of us has a reason to run. Every one of us has a reason to make it. Mercy wants to die free. Abigail wants Ruth to grow up free. You and Elijah want to live as human beings, not property. And I..." He paused, swallowing hard. "I want to marry Hannah in a church, with a preacher who sees us as people, not things. I want children who will never know what it means to be owned." Samuel's expression softened slightly, the wildness fading just a fraction. "You really think we can make it?" "I think if we run together, if we trust each other and follow the plan, we have a chance." Isaiah met his eyes. "But if you run tonight, alone, you'll die. And your death will bring Crow's attention down on all of us. He'll tighten security, increase patrols, and our window will close. So I have to wait." Samuel's voice was bitter. "I have to be patient. For one more day." Isaiah reached out, gripping Samuel's shoulder. "One more day, Samuel. Can you give me that?" The silence stretched between them, broken only by the rustle of old tobacco leaves in the rafters. Finally, Samuel nodded. "One more day," he said. "But if something goes wrong, if they delay again, they won't." Isaiah's voice was certain, even though his heart held doubts. "The colonel is too proud to change his plans again. They leave tomorrow at dawn, and we run the night after." Elijah spoke for the first time, her young voice steady. "We should all get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be long." They extinguished the candle and left separately, slipping back to their quarters through the darkness. Isaiah lay awake until dawn, his mind racing through the plan again and again, searching for weaknesses, for the flaw that would kill them. But the plan was as good as it could be. 2 years of preparation, every detail considered, every contingency planned for. Tomorrow, the Belmonts would leave. And the day after, 8 people would walk into the night, following the North Star toward freedom, or toward death. There was no middle ground anymore. No turning back. The die was cast. Isaiah stopped himself, recognizing the phrase for what it was. Another pretty lie, another way to avoid the brutal truth. The die wasn't cast. They were casting it themselves, choosing to risk everything on one desperate gamble. And in 36 hours, they would know if they'd won or lost. The roosters began to crow, announcing the dawn of the last day. Isaiah rose and dressed carefully, preparing himself for the final performance. Today he would smile and bow and say, "Yes, sir," while the Belmonts loaded their trunks and gave their final instructions. Today he would be the faithful clerk, the trusted servant, the grateful slave, and tomorrow night he would be free, or he would be dead. Either way, the waiting would finally be over.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.